Before you click away, have you ever wondered what would happen if you took all of the best gear in all of Wrath of the Lich King, combined the best PvP gear, Shadowmourne itself, the best tank gear, and put it all together to become a dungeon solo carrying god, a beast incarnate, undefeatable? In this video, we speed through Utgarde Keep in a record pace, world record times, with randoms while carrying the damage and simultaneously tanking the entire dungeon. We're going tank, DPS, everything, doesn't matter the role we queued, we are just taking down the whole dungeon by ourselves. We slice through bosses like butter, trash pulls like they're nothing, we double the speed of footage of any time I'm running from trash pack to trash pack because I don't want to walk from trash pack to trash pack. Why should I waste your guys' time? And we dominate this dungeon in a beautiful passion. Come with me as we destroy this dungeon and we plunder Ingvar the Plunderer on heroic mode. So I begin to fiddle with my macros to try to change my items around because I realize I'm not wearing the correct gloves on my macro, and I don't realize that my macro is already set up on the death coil. So I have a death coil macro right there, but my gloves are set up on that, and so I didn't need to swap my macro, but I had forgotten that. So that's what I was doing, and now we pull the first trash pack. As you can see, they're taking thousands upon thousands of damage, massive amounts of DPS. They are dying in record pace, and there is nothing that they can do to stop us as we just dominate them. The DPS in my group are doing a solid bang-up job destroying them, while I am just completely cutting through them like butter with my Shadowmourne. I am using PvP gear, so I get the crit from it while also getting resilience for the tank stats. And then I also have a lot of stamina from it, so it's the best hybrid kind of gear for tanking and doing damage, which is what we're trying to do here. As you can see, I'm running from trash pack to trash pack. We are killing the mobs as fast as we possibly can, and we are pretty much slaughtering them. They are going down at record paces. There is no way that we do not just dominate this dungeon. So as we continue through the dungeon, even on a ×2 faster speed walk, um, there is still the fact that walking in this game is incredibly slow, so I apologize for that. I did not want to speed it up to ×3 or something ridiculous, so you guys would lose any experience of seeing how the dungeon plays out, so I figured ×2 was good enough, but it's still kind of a bit much to have to watch the walking. Anyways, we are just pulling pack after pack. The healer has like infinite mana because it's Wrath, and every healer, even in subpar gear, is able to keep you healthy and alive. This healer was doing a pretty good job. I didn't die once, so I gotta commend him for that. He was a really great healer. But regardless, I was able to maintain aggro with all my abilities. Death and Decay was off cooldown all the time. I was using Scourge Strike to get it more damage out, Death Coils. I did not really use Blood Boil because it doesn't really scale too well later on, especially for Unholy, especially when you're doing only a few multi-pulls instead of like 20 or 30 mobs. So we continue to go through this dungeon, dominating the enemies like this, completely destroying them. Even though they're shielded, we're still getting our dots off. They're taking like 1,000 damage per dot, like 7-8k per hit. Um, the damage that we do is still ridiculous. It's pretty much higher than Nax gear, even with like these pseudo tank damage items. It's as if we're full DPS and old war gear while also having enough tank stats to tank as if we were full tank from TOC. So we have so much stats that we're able to do the jobs of two different players both at the same time. Watch how fast Keleseth goes down. This is quite ridiculous. We dropped the army of the undead. Didn't even get to the gargoyle, I believe, in this fight because we just destroy him so quickly. He's already at like 30% health gone, half health at this point. As you can see, I did 6.5k on a single Scourge Strike. The damage is just insane. I get frozen. I'm still destroying him. My teammates are also doing really well. and he just goes down like nothing. And not only that, I need to point out in this video that this is Lordaeron, so all the bosses have 50% more health than they normally would have. So as Keleseth, instead of having like 450k, he has 625k in this video. So we are melting bosses with 1.5 times their health at record speeds. This dungeon goes incredibly fast, even with these health boosts, even on a much harder server, with more damage taken, more damage dealt, more health and everything, we are still just dominating these dungeons as if they're nothing. So, this hybrid build, I would recommend it to everyone. You should take a look at this. This is quite amazing of a build. Um, so easy to just do a ton of damage while tanking in Unholy. Even if you're not full build like me, I think I could pull like 7 to 10k damage per second in this build while also simultaneously tanking perfectly fine and holding aggro. If you can't pull that much damage because you're not geared enough, I would recommend still trying a build like this out, focusing more on the tank stats and getting a bit of damage. And uh, you could sacrifice your trinkets for damage, and they'll give you the majority of your damage. In this case, for Unholy, because trinkets are massive for Unholy. And then not only that, but also just focus on attack power and crit, I believe, as both of those scale really well with AoE damage. And the more mobs you could pull, the more DPS that you could put out. As you can see, I'm just destroying this dungeon. There's like 30 mobs on me right now. I'm just pulling everything, and they're just all over me. I don't even think my mechanics are right. My UI is kind of terrible. I've got the base UI. I don't have any add-ons at all. I just did this run for casual fun, and I figured, you know what? Let's set up a build that can solo it while tanking, and that's what I did. So as I proceed through this dungeon, I'm just pulling it all, no fucks given, no care in the world, and I'm just destroying everything. Me and my boys pulling pack after pack. I'm going down about half health consistently. If I ever get down about like 20-30%, I'll drop Icebound Fortitude and just absolutely go hog wild. I have defensive cooldowns. I think I have Death Pack that I don't actually ever use. Yeah, it's on the key bar, but I don't actually have it bound, I believe, on this setup. So I don't even need Death Pack. I just use Icebound Fortitude, and I don't even refresh my Unholy Shield. Like, this build could perform significantly better than it is here, but we're just destroying this dungeon with absolutely minimal effort. I'm not even trying at this point, as you can see, because I'm not using Death Pact. I'm not refreshing my Unholy Shield. Not even popping Gargoyle or Corpse Explosion. Not silencing or interrupting. So there's just so little effort going into how destructive this kind of setup is. So as you can imagine, Shadowmourne is quite amazing because it's not really that insane of an item by itself in terms of like outperforming the other items. But when you look at it for an item like in pseudo builds and whatnot in PvP, where you just need flat damage to perform well while also having other stats to worry about, it just performs so amazingly. Shadowmourne here performs amazingly because you need your defensive stats tank and whatnot, but you also have all the strength and whatnot from Shadowmourne to be able to do damage. So while Shadowmourne will not give you the ability to go from like 12k DPS to like 18k DPS. It will give you that oomph that you need to be able to go from like 6k DPS to like 8 or 9k DPS, uh, like while tanking, while having a hybrid build like this. So Shadowmourne and these hybrid builds, they are absolutely amazing for dungeon running. If you have to supply your guild with tanks and whatnot, and you don't really like tanking, you want to play DPS, don't worry about it. Just have a pseudo build, hybrid build like this, where you could just go ahead and tank the dungeon with no care in the world. And as you can see right here, I get a little annoyed that they ninja the lockbox, but Warman has a rule where rogues are allowed to hit need on the lockbox, even if you're a blacksmith or you're just someone who can use the lockbox. It doesn't matter. Rogues get the lockboxes themselves because Warman rules. Anyways, back at it. These hybrid builds are really amazing. You could carry your guild, carry randoms, do really well, and make sure these random runs succeed, even if the damage is so low that they can't even do it themselves. You see, I've had runs where people are doing like 1200, 800 DPS. They're completely naked characters, full late naked level 80s, and I have the damage to solo bosses at this point where it's not even close. 14k damage on screen, as you've seen, 8.3k damage on screen. I'm able to just do so much damage that I could solo the dungeon while tanking it. All I need is a healer, so the 3 DPS, they're just all extra. They're just backup, so they can speed up the dungeon clear. All I need is a healer, and half the time I don't even need a healer to kill the dungeon, take it out. So yeah, this run incredibly fast. It's only been like 10 minutes in, an 11-minute video, and we got through an entire RDF heroic. This is heroic with 50% more health on every boss. Just insane. Just insane. I highly recommend you guys do some sort of hybrid build like this. As always, like the video, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to smile.